Alrighty. Thank you everyone for joining our webinar today. And good afternoon to everyone on the East Coast. Good morning to everyone on the West Coast. Super excited to do this webinar with you guys today. So today we're going to talk about data. We're going to nerd out on some data. So for a quick background, my name is Todd Saunders. I am the CEO at Broadloom. We are the largest technology company in the flooring industry. We do everything from websites to CRM to digital marketing to ERP flooring software, you name it. I left my phone number and my email here. If you have questions, feel free to reach out afterwards, during, whenever works for you. So today, here's the agenda. We're first going to go through global internet trends. So what's happening on the internet? What are consumers doing? We're then going to look at flooring specific website trends. So what is happening specifically in the flooring industry with these consumers and what are they doing on the internet? And then we're going to talk about just quickly some new Broadloom products and how it's interwoven into these new flooring trends that we're seeing, and so on and so forth. So we're going to try to keep this 25 minutes. But again, please feel free to reach out to me directly via email or phone if you ever have any questions. So let's start with some larger internet trends. Again, I promised you guys we were going to nerd out on some data. So we're going to be nerding out on some data here. So this is kind of global, or really nationwide internet trends we're looking at now, just to really set the stage. There are almost 5 billion internet users globally, right? So anyone that tells you that the internet isn't growing is wrong. This is up about 5% from the year before, and there's almost 5 billion people that use the internet globally. But there's really two stats in here I found the most interesting, and those were the last two stats. You can see one of them right here being the average time an individual person uses the internet in the US is 6 hours and 58 minutes. So think about that. On average, each person uses the internet almost 7 hours of time a day. They are constantly on there for almost, a third of the day, searching, looking for reviews, potentially looking for flooring, browsing home improvement ideas. They are on the internet 7 hours a day, and it is your job to get your business in front of them. Right? They're not driving around for 7 hours hoping that they can pass, and you're hoping that they can pass your store and see your sign outside. No, I'm going to guess that's maybe 30 minutes a day. But they are on the internet, driving around the internet for 7 hours a day. And that's a huge opportunity for you guys to put your ads in front of them. The last stat I thought was really interesting, just about kind of nationwide internet trends, is that 92% of users access the internet via their mobile phones. Now, obviously, I think that's not new news to any of us as mobile traffic and mobile internet usage has increased. But that's a pretty stunning number how high that is. And I think we have to take that into account when we think about our messaging to consumers and how we want our websites to be rendered and how we want them to look on mobile devices. So breaking down this a little bit further, again, one of the most interesting stats I found here was the daily time spent using the internet per person. And I took this data from Hootsuite. They're a huge researcher of this data. And you kind of take a look. We'll talk about this in a second, but the really core demographic of flooring consumers who call you guys and fill out forms is really between the ages of 25 to 54. And take a look at that demographic of consumer. They're online on the internet anywhere from 7 hours a day to, on the low end, 6 hours a day. So again, I want you to relate this to your store. You spend so much time thinking about what should my sign look like on my storefront? How do I make my store look beautiful? Because you expect people are driving around, right? But the truth is people are only driving around for like an hour a day, a half hour a day. But people are driving around, right, the internet for anywhere between 6 to 7 hours a day. And instead of passing by your store, they're passing by your website. So try to make, when you think about your website, really try to relate it that way in a store where, people are driving around my store, my online store, 7 hours a day. What can I do to make it look as professional as possible? It's no different than people are driving around. How can I make my actual storefront look professional as possible? And I really want you to see these connections and the actual bigger opportunity there is on the internet to make yourself stand out. So within that, I kind of want to take a little bit more of a macro view. So we said about 7 hours. The average consumer spends about 7 hours, 6 hours and 58 minutes on the internet. But what are they doing on the internet? How does that compare to other things? I know a lot of you guys still advertise on TV. I think TV is still a good place to advertise. But on average, the average person only spends 3 hours watching TV a day, and that's down 2% year over year. So again, if you're thinking about where to put your advertising, well, I'm telling you that 7 hours a day they're using the internet and only 3 hours a day they're using TV. That's not zero, right? So there's still an opportunity there. I'm just trying to show you the magnitude difference. They spend 2 hours using social media, 2 hours reading a book, 1 hour listening to music. And then this one I found pretty interesting. I know there's a lot of retailers that still use radio. On average, they only listen to about 1 hour a day of radio. So again, there's an opportunity, but compare that opportunity to advertising on the internet or reaching someone on the internet or reaching someone through streaming or reaching someone through social media. It's almost 6 times more of an audience, right, than the radio. Now, this might change for your local market. This is national level data. Your local market might be a little bit different, but the magnitude difference between who the radio can get to versus who the internet can get to is night and day. So there's this, amazing opportunity to advertise to consumers, obviously on the internet. But what are they doing on the internet, right? What are these customers doing on the internet? The number one thing we're doing based on our research, the number one thing they're doing before making a purchase is brand research, right? No different than you guys today. You type, if you're going to go buy a TV, what's the first thing you do? You type in best HD TV for my home. Or maybe if you're a gamer, you type in best HD TV for gaming. You read some articles online, you read the reviews, and then you find a store that carries that product. Well, that's no different than you guys. And I think these numbers are pretty eye-opening. Again, your guys' target consumer is somewhere between 25 to 54. So let's take a look just at that demographic. Anywhere between 50 to 56% of people will do research before they actually buy. Right? So almost, let's call it 55% of people will do research before they actually buy. And this is for all types of products. I promise you, this includes a $2, batteries to probably flooring that's $20,000. So this data is a little skewed. I can imagine this data being even higher with higher ticket items. So this is the whole gamut of items. These numbers are much, much higher when it's higher ticket items like a television or flooring or, something of that nature. But over 50% of people do research. This is super important to know. You have to be doing, getting good Google reviews. You need to have reviews on your website. You need to be generating those reviews on Facebook because consumers are looking for them everywhere, and that is growing. So the last part we really wanted to dig into is, they're looking for reviews, but then what are they doing? How are they interacting with brands? And again, this is data found by Hootsuite. And the number one thing that people are doing after they do research is they are immediately going to the brand website. 44% of people will go to the brand website after doing research. It's not even close compared to any of these other things. So I think this shows the value and the importance of a website. Again, a website is an online showroom. You need to treat it no different than your in-store showroom. And I would even argue treat it with more care and more diligence and with more creativity than your in-store showroom. I told you guys before, there are people driving around your online showroom or using the internet for 7 hours a day. I promise you, those people are not driving around your store for 7 hours a day. So really treat your website like an online showroom and treat it with care and really try to make sure you are incentivizing, enticing these consumers to come onto your online showroom and eventually into your in-store showroom. So again, 44% of people visit a website. It is by far the number one thing people do. But then you kind of see down from there, someone that will watch a video by the brand, right? I know a lot of retailers doing more and more video content. Then they'll go to your social media to see if there's any reviews there as well. They'll go to your social network pages. Maybe they'll read an email from you. Maybe they'll download an app. I think all of these, everything below the top three gets to pretty small numbers. But if you look at the first three, they visit your website, they watch some content or a video, and they go on your social network. So you really got to focus on those three things. And I think those three things make up your online persona. right? So given that 44% of people, the highest number, will actually go to your website, let's dive into some website data. So what we're going to look at here is we just looked at kind of global internet data. Let's look at flooring specific website data and website trends. Now that we know it's the number one thing consumers are looking for. So I wanted to, we wanted to do some reflection and say, how are our websites doing? And we're really excited how well our websites have performed from an SEO standpoint, but also a conversion rate standpoint over the last couple of years. So about 2 years ago, we pulled the data of what is the average conversion rate on our Broadloom websites. And the average was about 2%. So what that means is every 100 people that come to your website, 2 people will either call or fill out a form. Right now, more people will end up driving into your store, but it's almost impossible to track. But 2% of people will convert. However, the last few years, we've had a lot of innovations we've launched to our website, such as adding a visualizer. And what we found that adding the visualizer went from having a 2% conversion rate to a 3% conversion rate. So think about this. Without spending any more advertising dollars or getting any more people to your site, simply by adding the visualizer to your website for customers to use, your conversion rate goes from 2 to 3%. That means originally 100 people would come to your website and 2 would fill out a form or call. Now, simply by adding the visualizer, 3 people are filling out a form or calling, almost a 50% increase. But we didn't stop there. We really wanted to challenge our team to say, how could we get this above 5? And we tried a bunch of things, some things that didn't work, some things that did. But we did find something that worked really, really well, and that was sample ordering. You can see the numbers jump up almost, they almost double when you have sample ordering on your website. And we are so excited that we've partnered with great brands such as Mohawk, AHF, Dixie, JJ Haynes, and many, many more, where they are offering sampling right on our retailer websites. Now, not only does that provide an amazing user experience for the customer and for you to be able to send samples right on your site, but simply by having that site, your conversion rate goes from 3 to 6.4%, right? That's a massive, massive increase. So I'm really excited that we've been able to take our websites from 2% to 6.5% or 6.4%. And I want to shout out all the manufacturers that have invested time, money, and energy to partner with us to allow you guys to do sample ordering. Now, that's kind of where, again, that's a holistic look at conversion rates across our website. But let's dive into some of the dirty data here. So across our websites, we get the question very often of, who is my target demographic? So what you can see here is a breakdown of age, right? So this looks at all of the converting customers. So anyone that has either filled out a form or called across, all of our proprietary data. And you can see the age breakdown of these customers. And I mentioned earlier the target is between 25 and 54, and you can kind of see that here. It goes up from 18 to 24 to 44 years old and kind of trends down. So I think you can look at this and say, the number one demographic is 35 to 44 who is filling out forms and calling online. But if I had to pick like a core demographic, it would be 25 to 54 is where I would really, really use, where I would really target. Now, you should use this information to better customize your messaging, your content, your digital advertising. I even think in some of your content, you should really try to have people that match the age of the people that are converting on your website. Now, obviously, keep in mind, this is data across the entire country. Every local market could be different. So I'm not saying that this is 100% your market, but I think you can use this as a keystone of a really good parallel of what your market probably looks like. So not just age, we get a ton of questions also on gender. And I think, everyone says this is, sell to the female, sell to the female, sell to the mom. The truth is, that may be true, right? She might be the one that actually makes the purchase decision. And I bet you if we polled, all of your customers, the person that actually made the decision was the female. But what we are seeing is that there's a pretty even breakdown between males and females who actually call or fill out a form on flooring retailer websites. So what that tells me is that, yes, maybe one person, the other person is making the buying decision behind the scenes, but it's split pretty 50-50 on who was actually taking the action and calling you or filling out the form. So, I would say based on this data, you really should just target both demographics because it seems like both of them pretty evenly are, um, converting on your websites. So that is gender. The next thing we wanted to look at was interest. And again, all of this data is based on 2022 data. We'll show how it's changed over time, but this is all 2022 data. So another thing we wanted to look at is, all right, now that we know their age and gender, who are these people? These people that convert on my websites, what do they like to do outside of flooring? And we again pulled some of our proprietary data to give you guys some insight into who are these people and what else do they like to do besides just buy flooring from you guys. So, according to our data, they are in market for flooring, but they are also in market for home and garden and home decor. You can kind of see everything else that they're generally in market for, but very much so in market for home and garden and home decor. That's pretty obvious considering they're on your website looking for flooring. But let's go to the bottom two graphs, reach and other. So on the reach side, you can see in the bottom left, they are also interested in very, very skewed towards food and fine dining and cooking enthusiasts, and also very skewed towards shoppers and value shoppers. And then they also are into arts and entertainment and weather, right? So those are the dominant categories. Someone that is in home and garden, looking for home and garden, likes food, cooking, and home dining, is a shopper, and generally likes to check news and weather and arts, entertainment, celebrity entertainment, and news. If you can kind of bundle this together, you can really customize your messaging. So if I wanted to use this, I would probably create a marketing campaign where you have someone maybe cooking in the house, right? As they're looking to do flooring, maybe the food spills on the ground. As the food spills on the ground, she looks up at the TV and there's art, there's entertainment and celebrity news on the TV. She looks at it and says, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?" She looks back down and she can clean the floor so easily because she has these brand new floors, right? That's probably not the most creative example, but you see how I tied in all of this data to better connect with your audience, right? Knowing all these different things, these small little hints of creativity allow you to connect to your audience. So I would use all of this data again to customize your messaging and better talk to the consumer that you want to have. So that's all converting customers, right? Customers that are filling out forms. The other thing we wanted to look at in 2022 is how are the organic trends? And what I'm super proud of is our websites are rocking and rolling from organic traffic. They are doing incredibly well. A lot of people talk about, I talk to a lot of retailers who say, "Hey, I built this website." And sometimes the websites look great. A local store, a local agency made it, or, someone else made it, and they look good. But then when you look at the organic SEO, there's no traffic coming to the sites at all, right? That's equivalent to having a showroom that no one drives by. So I'm super proud of the work our team has done when really focusing on organic and SEO. So we did analysis of over 54 million page views. And what was abundantly clear based on the data, the organic data, aka the free traffic to your sites, the catalog pages are the number one pages for organic SEO. Now, I can't tell you how we do it, but we have a little bit of SEO trick to make this happen. But it's very clear that the SEO pages in total generate the most SEO traffic, organic traffic for you. So if you don't have a catalog and it's not done right through SEO right on your site, you're missing out on a ton of organic traffic. And you can see to the left, anywhere it says all luxury vinyl, all carpet, any of those all kind of product category slashes, that is the catalog, right? So you can kind of see all of those catalog pages getting tons and tons of traffic. The number one place for traffic is that slash mark, which is just the homepage. So outside of the homepage, obviously, of all of those catalog pages. The one that came up pretty often that I was surprised about as well are the review page and the About Us page. You can see the About Us page being page number 11, and the reviews page being the 21st page that people visit when they come to your site organically. So don't take shortcuts there. If you don't have an amazing About Us page or an amazing reviews page with reviews being syndicated right to your page and right to Google in real time, don't take a shortcut there. It's very clear people look for it. And then lastly, the thing that we found really interesting is there are clearly more people starting to look for financing and promotions. Obviously, as the economy starts to get a little shaky, it makes sense that more people are looking for financing and promotions. If you look at the 25th most clicked on page on the bottom, you'll see it's financing. And if you look at the 17th most clicked on page, you'll see it's promo offer. So please start to think about how you can position your promotions and how you can position financing to help you guys sell more, how you can help you make more profit, and how you can help increase the ticket size. But again, I think the takeaways here are catalog page is super important. About us and reviews page, do not shortcut those, and make sure you are leveraging financing and promotions right now because that is what the trend is heading in 2022 and 2023. So that's organic traffic. Let's talk about paid traffic. There's a lot of people running paid search Google ads. We run a ton of them for our customers very, very successfully, and we wanted to share some insights there. So as you can see on the first graph, most consumers are searching, clicking, and converting on mobile devices. You can see kind of the breakdown of clicks versus impressions, which is searches versus conversions. And you can see the breakdown of mobile, tablet, computer. And that's kind of what we're, the different data that we're seeing there. You can use this data to better target your customer. I think what this shows me is that mobile is just dominant, right? Mobile is dominant when it comes to everything, but desktops are still important when it comes to conversion, actually filling out the form or making that phone call. So don't sleep on computers. I would say tablets are still very small. Mobile devices, number one, computers, number two. And then below this, you'll see we basically took all of our data, downloaded it, and said, with this paid search data, what days of the week are the best? And it is very clear, almost every single week of the entire year last year, this graph shows Monday being the best, the highest conversion rate with the most conversions, and then it going down Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then back up Monday. So this like chart you're seeing is cyclical, weekly, Monday to Sunday, Monday to Sunday, Monday to Sunday. It is amazing how interesting this is. It is very clear that Monday is when customers are filling out forms and calling you the most. Now, they might be searching on Saturday or searching on Friday, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is when they're taking their action. Now, a lot of you guys have mentioned, advertising getting more expensive. It is. Advertising on Google changed a lot in 2022. It is still worth it, but it did change a lot. We saw conversion rates go down almost 4.5%. So people aren't converting as high of a rate, but it makes sense. They're a little bit more nervous about their money. We saw cost per conversion go up 14%. And this is all stemmed by cost per click, right? Cost per click is up 25% to an all-time high. So each click is costing more than ever. But I expect that trend to actually reverse. There was a ton of demand and a ton of advertisers. As people start advertising less, the cost per click will go down, which allows anyone that is advertising to take advantage of this. So I actually think the next year is going to be an amazing time for you to advertise. And I think this data is going to go down significantly as more businesses pull back. It allows you to kind of get aggressive. So that's paid search traffic. The last thing I wanted to look at when it came to, flooring website trends is what are they searching, right? We kind of just looked at trends on the website. We looked at paid search and organic trends, but what are people just searching in Google generally when they think about flooring? And I found these 4 graphs to be unbelievably interesting. So look on the upper left, you see the term use financing when people are looking for flooring. It is trending up and to the right, all-time high. That tells me, again, you guys have to start using financing. Look to the right when people type pay with financing. Again, you kind of see that graph up and to the right. If you look to the lower left-hand corner, how to pay online, like people expect to pay online right now. They do not expect to pay you via check or over the phone. People want to pay online. It even got to the point where I think people are saying, how do you even pay with check? Okay, you have people of my generation who are coming in that only know how to pay online. I don't even know how to pay with a check. Take a look at the last 2 graphs. Everyone's looking at how to pay online, how to pay you guys online. And some of you are saying, hey, you have to pay with a check. So actually, there's more searches now to say how to pay with check because people don't even know how to use a check. right? So it's clear they want to pay online, they want to use financing, and some people are still forcing consumers to use checks and they don't even know how to use a check. So this is a huge opportunity for us. We saw this data very early on that financing and payments were going to be huge, mixed with all of our other data, which is why our product and engineering team got to work to help you guys, build even more tools outside of sample ordering and your website, and your CRM and lead management and ERP. We wanted to launch some new tools that would help you take advantage of this financing and payment trend. So I'm quickly going to review at the end of this webinar some new Broadloom products that I think are going to help you dominate these new trends in 2023. The first one being Broadloom payments. We are so excited by this. I cannot tell you how many retailers are getting absolutely ripped off with payments. So we wanted to make an easy way for you to collect payments right on your website. Now, as you can see, Carpet and Tile Warehouse website right there has a button, pay your invoice. You can click right there as a consumer and you can pay your invoice right online. You can pay it via credit card or ACH. And the best part about this is it ties right into your Broadloom flooring software or your CRM and your website with us. And the pricing is easy. It's 2.79 for swipe payments, 2.99 for non-swipe payments. Doesn't matter if the customer uses a credit card, an Amex, an Amex Black, an Amex Platinum. Normally, there's all these hidden fees and setup fees and monthly transaction fees. Not with this. We went out and negotiated an unbelievable rate for you guys, and we're super, super excited about this. So if you are interested in taking advantage of the increased search on pay online and letting consumers pay online, or pay via text message and pay right on your site, please reach out to me. I'm happy to get you introduced to the team. So again, it can integrate right into your website, it can integrate right into flooring software. The reason we launched this is we just saw the trends, right? We used the data and we said, how can we help our customers take advantage of this data? Now, I also mentioned financing. 2023 is going to be the year of financing. People want to not have to pay money up front. It's a very contentious market right now, and people want to feel better about not paying money up front. So I'm excited to announce we've also launched Broadloom financing. It is available to all dealers. We partnered with a company I know very well called FinMarket, which what it does, it uses AI. Once a customer submits their information, it uses AI to go get 5 or 10 offers, give the offers back to the consumer, and the consumer can then pick which offer they want. Again, this is integrated right into your website. I took a screenshot of NRG Flooring's website. You can see it right there. But it's an amazingly easy way for you to let customers finance their jobs, help you increase your tickets, close more sales, and it costs you nothing. It's a direct-to-consumer financing, meaning the consumer is funded directly, right? So they're funded directly, and it's 100% free to use, no cost to you at all. Again, I mentioned it uses a multi-lender model. That way, it goes out and gives the consumer, 5 or 10 different options. And it comes with a really, really great landing page that you can use or your consumers can use, and you're notified through the entire process, right? So the way it works is consumer fills out the form, whether in your store, right on your website, and they get approved right then, right there, and you get notifications about the whole thing. We've seen dealers start to use this, and they are closing more sales at higher tickets than they ever had before. And again, going back to the trends, more and more people are looking for financing than ever before. Again, the benefits, more sales, it doesn't cost you anything, higher approval rates, right? The reason we do a multi-lender model is to get you higher approval rates as low as I think a 500 FICO. And it's, very easy to use, quick application approval process for the consumer. We want this to be seamless. And for the consumer, right, they can get a loan up to 100,000, which right now is important. Interest rates as low as 4.99. And again, rates starting at a 500 FICO score. So we really want to provide the gamut for these consumers because these trends are continuing. So that's all we have for today's webinar. Again, we kind of first talked about, global internet trends. We then talked about paid search and organic and kind of flooring specific website trends. And then what I wanted to show you is based on trends we've been seeing over the last few years, what products are we building to help you guys based on these, right? It would be unfair of me to say, hey, everyone, here are these trends. Well, good luck. Go figure out how to take advantage of these trends. We already have the products to help you take advantage of them. They're both free to use, but will help you provide a better experience, consumer experience, will help you make more money, and will help you close more deals and make more profit. So thank you everyone for joining today. As always, feel free to reach out to me via my cell or via email. And I'm super excited to chat with you. Have a great rest of your day.